the knee being taken.
Yeah.
Can you just clear it up, Oscar? A knee being taken, is that a point deduction?
Yes, and that's the fact. A point should be deducted if you take a knee. It's a fact. It's in the rule book, right? The fact that they didn't take it away, then that's where the controversy is, right? It's not the, did Gervonta get hit? Was he dazed? Who knows? Only he knows. But what I saw, when you take a knee, that's an automatic point. That's just the rule.
Gervonta Davis just went life and death with Roach, barely escaping with a draw, and even worse, he took a knee in the final rounds. But Oscar De La Hoya isn't buying the excuses. He fired off with one brutal message: there are no timeouts in boxing.
Well, look,
is that a DQ?
This is not basketball. This is not, this is not basketball where, wait, hold on, my ankle hurts. Hold on, let me take a timeout. You don't take timeouts in boxing. It just doesn't happen. Whether he had something in his eye or not, you have to fight. There's 3 minutes to fight. So if you take a knee, if you go to your corner, I mean, the rules are the rules. And I don't know what New York is gonna settle on, but the rules are the rules.
This wasn't supposed to happen. Gervonta Tank Davis, the undefeated knockout artist, was expected to dominate Roach. Instead, he found himself in a war, pushed to the brink in a fight that ended in a shocking draw. But the biggest controversy? Davis voluntarily took a knee in the later rounds, a move that had fans, fighters, and analysts questioning everything. Oscar De La Hoya wasted no time giving his take on the fight.
Hey, Oscar, we gotta know, Oscar, the fight just happened last week. Who won, Tank or Lamont?
Everyone's got an opinion. This is my opinion.
Sure.
It was a great fight. It was a close fight. Depending on what they do with that decision of taking the knee, depending if the commission reverses the decision, or if I think a draw was meant to be. So I like the draw.
But while De La Hoya seemed fine with the official result, he had a serious issue with the way the fight was handled, especially the referee's reaction to Davis taking a knee. Historically, taking a knee is an admission of defeat, a last-ditch move when a fighter can't continue. In the 90s and early 2000s, a move like that would have cost a fighter a point, if not the fight itself. De La Hoya made sure to remind everyone of that.
I think like the knee though. Was that a good call on the ref?
No, if you take a knee, man, if you take a knee in the 90s or in 2000, you're taking a point off. That's the bottom line. You're taking a point off. I don't know what happened with the referee. Maybe he was a little starstruck. Maybe he was a little, because he loves Tank. He loves New York. He loves the big lights. The referee with the eyes,
Was this just a controversial moment in a tough fight, or did Davis get special treatment? Fans are already debating whether the commission should review the result. But one thing is clear, Tank's aura of invincibility took a serious hit, and De La Hoya isn't letting it slide. Leading up to the fight, Gervonta Tank Davis was expected to dominate. As an undefeated knockout artist, he had built his reputation on explosive finishes, with fans and analysts predicting another highlight reel stoppage. But Lamont Roach had other plans. From the opening bell, Roach executed a disciplined game plan, using movement, angles, and sharp counterpunching to neutralize Davis's power. As the rounds went on, it became clear. Tank wasn't in control. Roach was outboxing him, making the fight far more competitive than anyone had expected. Veteran trainer Robert Garcia saw it the same way.
No, Lamont looked very, very comfortable. He looked very secure, very sure of what he was doing. He followed his game plan. He did exactly what nobody has been able to do. I think he was in control.
Despite Roach's dominance, the fight ended in a draw. Garcia pointed out a harsh reality in boxing. When facing a superstar like Gervonta Davis, just winning rounds isn't always enough.
We also have to understand that, when you're going against the champion, especially a superstar like Tank, you have to do a little extra to maybe get the rounds. Those rounds that are kind of close, most of the time they go to the champion, especially somebody like Tank, that's the superstar, the one that's doing millions just in the gate, doing great pay-per-view numbers. That's the difference.
Garcia wasn't alone in his belief that Roach deserved the win. Many felt that boxing politics played a role in the decision, but regardless of the official scorecards, Garcia made it clear. Roach proved he belonged at the elite level.
In a fair score, I thought he was in control. I thought Lamont Roach was in control and did his job and had a perfect game plan. And like I told him after the fight in the hotel, I told him, you surprised me and surprised the world, and you should have been champion. He should have walked out of the ring with that belt.
For Roach, the draw was bittersweet. He had done everything right, exposed flaws in Davis's game, and arguably outboxed him. But in a sport where stars often get the benefit of the doubt, the victory he earned on the scorecards wasn't the one that was officially given. Heading into the fight, Lamont Roach was seen as a heavy underdog. Most believed he wouldn't last against Gervonta Tank Davis's power, let alone push him to the limit. But Roach had a different mindset, one that thrived under pressure. While others doubted him, he knew exactly what he was capable of.
I feel like when my back is against the wall or against the ropes, it's like, it's time to show up. So it wasn't really hard for me to focus because all I had to do was do what I normally do. And I know that that was gonna surprise or shock or shut everybody up.
And that's exactly what happened. Roach's sharp counterpunching, composure, and ring IQ turned what many expected to be a one-sided fight into a war. He neutralized Tank's signature explosiveness and forced the star into uncomfortable situations. By the time the final bell rang, Roach had done what no one thought possible. He had taken Davis to the brink, proving that he wasn't just there to survive, but to win. Before the fight, many doubted whether Lamont Roach even deserved to share the ring with Gervonta Davis. Critics pointed to his past losses, including a decision defeat to former world champion Jamel Herring in 2019, as proof that he wasn't on Tank's level. But after Roach's stunning performance against Davis, those same critics were suddenly silent. Herring took the moment to remind everyone that he had already beaten Roach, and that his win was no fluke.
Hey yo, first and foremost, shout out to Lamont Roach and Tank. That was a great fight, I enjoyed it. But yo, I'm making this video because for the whole build-up, y'all were killing me over my victory over Lamont, saying that he wasn't worthy of the Tank fight. But at the end of the day, I don't care what y'all say, I got that W. That's all I'm saying.
Herring's message was clear. While Roach had just proved himself against one of boxing's biggest stars, his loss to Herring still stood. It was a reminder that in boxing, matchups make fights. Just because Roach pushed Tank to the edge didn't erase the fact that Herring had already figured him out years earlier. Gervonta Davis had built his reputation on dominance, knocking out opponents, controlling fights, and delivering highlight reel finishes. But against Lamont Roach, something was different. He didn't look like the same explosive fighter fans were used to seeing. His timing was off, his usual confidence seemed shaken, and by the end of the fight, the result was something nobody expected: a draw. Danny Garcia acknowledged Roach's hunger and the opportunity that pushed him to fight at his absolute best.
Lamont fought? I knew Lamont was going to come to fight. It was an opportunity of a lifetime. He did a good job. He fought a great fight.
What was wrong with Tank Davis? I mean, I was
what was wrong with him?
Out.
Every night in boxing is not your best, you feel me? But at least you got the draw.
But Garcia didn't just focus on the fight itself. He looked at the bigger picture. He suggested that Tank's struggles in the ring may have been a reflection of the energy he put out beforehand.
Did you see some of that with Tank tonight? He's been talking about retirement.
One thing I learned, your words become flesh. Mm-hmm. So whatever you put out to the universe, it's gonna come back to you.
Attractive.
Yeah, so the energy you put out there, and then you get a performance like this, so maybe it'll be like, hold on, time out. I don't want to do that. Let me get back to what I do best. And sometimes you need nights like this when you don't look your best, and the next time you're gonna be better.
For Garcia, this wasn't just about an off night. It was a wake-up call. Tank's struggles weren't just about Lamont Roach. They were about focus, mindset, and the consequences of everything leading up to the fight. If Tank wanted to get back to his dominant ways, he'd have to take a hard look at what went wrong, both inside and outside the ring. Gervonta Davis had been a dominant force in boxing, known for his explosive power and ability to take opponents out with a single punch. But against Lamont Roach, the fight didn't go as expected. Roach, who had been seen as a massive underdog, not only survived, but pushed Davis to the limit, forcing a draw that left fans questioning whether Tank was truly at his best, or if Roach was just that good. Former world champion and boxing analyst Chris Algieri weighed in on the fight, acknowledging that while it was an off night for Davis, Roach's skills deserved major respect. Chris Algieri said, I mean, definitely an off night for Tank, but Lamont Roach is the guy, man. He showed up, and Tank gave him a tremendous amount of respect in the fight, and we saw why. I mean, he's a great counterpuncher, very high boxing IQ. He always says, I hit harder than people think. I hit harder than my record says. He stunned Tank several times. What stood out to Algieri wasn't just Roach's counterpunching, but his ability to absorb Tank's power.
He stunned Tank several times. Tank looked like the guy with the heavier hands, but Lamont had the better chin. So it's all relative. So if Tank hits real hard, but the guy can take it, doesn't really matter.
But despite Roach's brilliant performance, Algieri pointed out a key flaw in his strategy, his slow start.
And I thought Roach was brilliant tonight. He had a good game plan, but those early rounds are what haunts him. He's gonna lay up at night that he wasn't a little more aggressive early on, because early on there wasn't much going on. There was time for him to take places for him to steal those rounds. And obviously he didn't. I want to see what the official scorecard breakdown was and how they had everybody in which direction and which rounds.
Roach had the skills, the chin, and the strategy to give Tank one of the toughest fights of his career. But as Algieri pointed out, championship fights often come down to small details. Hesitation in the early rounds, missed opportunities to make a statement. Roach had made his mark, but the question remained, had he done enough to truly take Tank's throne? Speaking in his post-fight interview, Davis claimed that hair grease had impacted his vision during the fight. Davis explained in his post-fight interview, I just got my hair done 2 days ago, and she put grease in my s. He also stated, when you are sweating and like that, the grease came into my face and it burnt my eyes. It was an unusual excuse for a fighter of Davis's caliber, and it quickly became a talking point among fans and analysts. Some saw it as an attempt to downplay Roach's performance, while others questioned whether it played a legitimate role in Davis's struggles. Regardless of the reason, one thing was clear. Tank wasn't himself in that fight, with his power punches not landing as cleanly as usual and Roach refusing to back down. Davis found himself in unfamiliar territory. Instead of delivering a highlight reel finish, he was forced into a tough tactical battle. Now, with a controversial draw on his record, questions linger about what really went wrong. Was it the hair grease, an off night, or simply a fighter in Roach who had his number? Lamont Roach had just delivered the performance of his career, going toe-to-toe with one of boxing's most dangerous punchers, Gervonta Tank Davis. Many expected Roach to be just another name on Davis's highlight reel, but instead he proved to be a serious challenge, using sharp counterpunching, defensive discipline, and an intelligent game plan to neutralize Tank's explosiveness. When the final bell rang, Roach believed he had done enough to pull off the upset. However, the judges saw it differently, scoring the fight a draw, a result that left Roach frustrated. I'm a little disappointed in the decision. I thought I pulled it off, Roach said after the fight. But that is what happens sometimes when two skilled fighters get in there and do what they do. Despite his frustration, Roach showed respect for Davis, acknowledging his abilities while still making it clear that he wanted a rematch. Roach also noted, I definitely thought I won, hopefully we can run it back, but Gervonta is a great fighter. For Roach, this fight wasn't just about proving he belonged at the elite level, it was about claiming victory against one of the sport's biggest stars. And while he didn't get the official win, his performance left no doubt that he was more than capable of hanging with the best. Now the question remains, will Davis give him the rematch, or will this fight be remembered as the night Roach shocked the world but didn't get the decision? Edgar Berlanga wasted no time firing shots at Gervonta Davis after his controversial draw against Lamont Roach. While the boxing world debated whether Tank's performance was an off night or a sign of deeper issues, Berlanga took a more direct approach, mocking Davis with no filter. On social media, Berlanga posted a blunt and brutal message aimed at Tank. You did the bed little bitch at Gervonta. Berlanga's comment wasn't just trash talk, it was a clear attempt to stir up tension and put himself in the conversation for a potential fight with Davis. Berlanga, an undefeated super middleweight, has been angling for big name opponents, and calling out a struggling Tank was the perfect opportunity to generate headlines. Raymond Ford didn't hold back his thoughts on Gervonta Davis's performance, taking to social media to call out the hype surrounding Tank. Following Davis's controversial draw against Lamont Roach, Ford posted a blunt message. We've been trying to tell y'all is overhyped. Raymond Ford. Ford's comment adds fuel to the growing criticism that Davis may not be as dominant as his fans believe. With his knockout power and undefeated record, Tank has been regarded as one of boxing's most dangerous fighters, but Ford and others seem to believe that his reputation has been inflated. Was this just Ford capitalizing on the moment, or does he truly believe Davis is overrated? Either way, the backlash against Tank is louder than ever. Gervonta Davis's explanation for his lackluster performance against Lamont Roach sent shockwaves through the boxing world, but not in the way he might have hoped. During his post-fight interview, Davis claimed that hair grease got into his eyes, affecting his vision during the fight. That excuse didn't sit well with former lightweight champion George Kambosos Jr., who wasted no time clowning Tank on social media. Kambosos posted a tweet mocking Davis, saying, "Did he say grease in the hair?" accompanied by a laughing emoji and a clip of Davis's interview. Kambosos' post added to the growing skepticism surrounding Tank's excuse. For a fighter known for his knockout power and dominance, blaming hair products for a struggle against Roach wasn't going to fly with fans or his fellow fighters. Kambosos, who has been vocal about wanting big fights, could also be using this as an opportunity to poke at Davis and potentially stir up future business. But whether Tank fires back or lets the criticism slide, the internet isn't letting this one go anytime soon. George Kambosos Jr. didn't hold back after Gervonta Davis's controversial draw against Lamont Roach. The former unified lightweight champion, who has had his fair share of criticism from Davis in the past, saw this as the perfect moment to fire back. Taking to social media, Kambosos mocked Tank's previously undefeated record, calling out the crucial knockdown that played a major role in the fight's outcome. George Ferocious Kambosos Jr. posted on X, "Ouch, there goes the perfect record." That was a knockdown that ultimately made the difference. The dwarf had a go at me for my losses to Haney and Loma. Time to look at yourself, Wanky Tanky. Great work, Roach. Respect. Tanky, the jig is up. The comment was laced with sarcasm, referencing how Davis had previously criticized Kambosos for his losses to Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko. Now, with Tank walking away from the Roach fight without a win, Kambosos made sure to remind him that the tables had turned. Jake Paul also weighed on to Gervonta Davis's controversial draw against Lamont Roach, and he didn't hold back. Known for his outspoken takes on the sport, Paul seemed unimpressed with Tank's performance, questioning whether the undefeated star was the same fighter fans have come to expect.
Man, he got lucky as a draw. He did a good fight though. I thought he won it, but man, he gotta just create more action. That's a sparring session as far as I'm concerned. Oh my God. But God damn, that's not the Gervonta I know.
Paul's reaction taps into the growing debate over whether Tank truly deserved the draw or if Roach was robbed of a career-defining victory. Many expected Davis to dominate, yet he struggled against Roach's counterpunching and ring IQ. Calling the fight a sparring session suggests Paul believes Tank lacked his usual aggression and urgency. Shakur Stevenson, never one to miss an opportunity, reacted to Gervonta Davis's unexpected draw against Lamont Roach with a measured yet pointed response. While many fighters took the chance to mock Tank, Stevenson chose a different route, one that kept the door open for a potential showdown. Shakur Stevenson posted on X, "Ian even gone shit on dude like he would do me, but I'm still ready and willing to fight, let's make it happen." Despite his history of back and forths with Davis, Stevenson resisted the urge to pile on. Instead, he made it clear he's not about talk, he's about action, by implying that Davis would have taken shots at him if the roles were reversed. Shakur subtly called out Tank's usual bravado while maintaining his focus on a future fight. With the lightweight division still buzzing from Davis's performance, Stevenson's message was simple: no excuses, no ducking, let's get in the ring. Boxing journalist Keith Idek didn't hold back when weighing in on the controversy surrounding Gervonta Davis's draw against Lamont Roach. In his view, the outcome was clear. Tank should have suffered the first loss of his career. Keith Idek noted, "Bottom line, based on taking that knee early in the 9th round, Gervonta Davis should have a loss on his record tonight. Lamont Roach should have won a split decision. Tank Roach." IDEX's argument centers on the pivotal moment in the 9th round when Davis voluntarily took a knee. In past eras, such a move would have resulted in an automatic point deduction, potentially shifting the fight in Roach's favor. The fact that it didn't raises questions about the officiating and whether Davis received preferential treatment, with many in the boxing world echoing the sentiment that Roach deserved the nod. IDEX's take adds to the growing debate. Did Tank escape with his undefeated record intact due to boxing politics? Gervonta Davis's draw against Lamont Roach sparked heated debates in the boxing world, with some arguing that Tank underperformed, while others believe Roach deserved the win. Among the voices weighing in, Haven Brady Jr. offered a balanced take, acknowledging both fighters' efforts while addressing the high expectations surrounding Davis.
A great fight. Lamont Roach had a great game plan. He came out and fought. Don't take nothing away from Tank. I feel like he fought a great fight. I feel like a lot of people took it away from him because he didn't knock him out. You know, they used to him getting his fighters out of there. So I feel like it kind of took it away from him. That he still did good, but I mean, Lamont Roach was a great fighter too, you know.
Brady Jr. highlighted a key point. Davis's reputation as a knockout artist may have set an unrealistic standard for how his performances are judged. Because Tank didn't deliver his usual highlight reel finish, many dismissed his effort, despite him still having moments of control in the fight. Meanwhile, Roach executed his strategy brilliantly, making Davis work for every round. As discussions of a potential rematch gain traction, Brady Jr.'s comments serve as a reminder that boxing isn't just about knockouts. It's about skill, execution, and adapting to different styles. If a second fight happens, the question remains, will Davis adjust and deliver the dominant performance fans expect, or will Roach prove that his success wasn't just a one-time surprise? With all the controversy surrounding the result, one thing is clear. Lamont Roach proved he's far from just an opponent. He took on one of boxing's biggest stars and didn't just survive. He made it a real fight. Meanwhile, Gervonta Davis finds himself in unfamiliar territory, with critics questioning whether his dominance is slipping or if this was just an off night. If a rematch happens, does Roach have what it takes to go one step further and get the win? Or will Davis come back stronger and remind everyone why he's considered one of the most dangerous punchers in the sport? Share your thoughts in the comments section.